Welcome to this exciting story. Subscribe now. The Thousand Colors of the Ganges, a collection of folk tales. Volume 1, North India, the Sacred River. Chapter 3, The Fire Wheel of the Night. Aarti, the Ganges breath. As the Dashashwam Dagat in Varanasi wakes up in the twilight, Lila is squatting on the dock of the Delta fishing village, watching the fisherman Kumar pour the last net of dead fish into a bamboo basket. The bellies of the fish have a strange blue-purple tint, and there are tiny fluorescent foams stuck between their gill covers, the mark left by the industrial wastewater discharged from the upstream chemical plants. 3 days ago, Kamala had grabbed her wrist and pointed to the light sprites floating on the river surface. "They're crying. Mother Ganges is bleeding," she said. Kamala is the only one in the fishing village who can see the spirits of the river. The first time Lila saw her, this dark-skinned fisherwoman was kneeling in the shallows, catching a rippling ball of light with a palm leaf. To ordinary people, it was just the sunset reflected on the water, but Kamala said it was the breath of the Ganges. At this moment, the fisherwoman is drawing something on the beach with her fish scale-covered fingers. The sand grains automatically gather into a swirling shape, and in the center, the faint shuying of a goddess with closed eyes emerges. Last week, 127 fishing boats went out to sea, but today there are only 23 left. Kumar's voice is like a dried-up fishing net. The elders say that the river god's back has been burned by the industrial wastewater, and now even the fire pans of the night Aarti are floating with oil stains. He points to the god in the distance. The bronze fire pans, which should have reflected the glistening waves of the Ganges in the twilight, now look like withered leaves floating in ink. Lila touches the pottery shard in her apron pocket. She picked it up from the riverbed this morning with half a verse of Ode to Mother Ganges engraved on it. Since seeing the miracle of Alia purifying the river with natural colored powder at the Holy Gate in Delhi, she has been paying attention to the anomalies along the Ganges. The old oil lamps in Sarnath went out automatically for 3 consecutive nights. The priests in Varanasi were blinded by the choking water mist during their morning prayers, and now the well water in the fishing village has suddenly turned salty. Kamala said this was the taste of the river god's tears. "Try this." Elia appears behind her somehow, handing her a handful of Ganges sand mixed with marigold petals. In Benares, people use this kind of sand to draw karma maps. She squats down and uses her fingertips to draw a complex mandala on the beach. The sand grains automatically gather into the shape of a river, and in the black whirlpool in the center, the faint shadow of a coiled snake can be seen. Kamala suddenly picks up the sand tremblingly. "These are the tears of Lord Naga. During Diwali last year, when I saw the industrial waste trucks dumping downstream, the eyes of the snake-shaped stone carving at the bottom of the river were bleeding." She points to the chemical plant in the distance, where the chimney is emitting orange-red smoke of the same color as the fire pans of the night Aarti. They stole the color of the fire wheel, but didn't learn to pray. The cave of the ascetic Damodar is hidden in the rock wall behind the ghat. The entrance is hung with 108 strings of sweet flag leaves, each leaf moistened with morning dew. When Lila follows Aliyah into it, golden runes suddenly appear on the damp stone wall. It is the river god awakening ceremony, recorded in the Ganga Purana. 70 years ago, my father participated in the last complete night Aarti. Damodar's anklets jingle with the sound of Ganges stones colliding. At that time, the fire pans were made of 108 kinds of herbs. Basil exorcised evil, turmeric purified, and sweet flag was the hair of the river god. He points to the murals deep in the cave. The priests hold the fire pans and spin, their dance steps secretly matching the Tantric dance of Shiva. The firelight illuminates the river surface, revealing the lurking statue of the river god. It is the embodiment of the Ganges flowing from Shiva's hair. A 7-headed giant snake coils on the head, and each scale is engraved with Vedic scriptures. Now the fire pans are made of plastic. Damodar's voice drops. It's like offering fake flowers to Mother. How can she not cry? Aliya's notebook is filled with fragments of the Ode to Mother Ganges, and she is now comparing the dance steps on the mural. Lila suddenly touches the engraving in the depression of the stone wall. It is the prayer her father often recited before his death. In 1947, it was with such a ceremony that he made the turbid Ganges water clear again during the partition. We need 108 kinds of herbs, she looks at Aliya, and 108 priests to spin according to the ancient dance steps. There are only 27. Kumar's voice comes from the cave entrance, followed by the old people in the fishing village. They are holding basil from in front of their houses, turmeric from their windowsills, and sweet flag picked from the river beach in their hands. But we remember the dance steps passed down from our ancestors. Each step follows the rhythm of the Ganges. Kamala places the last bunch of lotuses in Lila's palm, and the dew on the petals condenses into the shape of a miniature Ganges. Before the night Aarti begins, the ghat is filled with a scent of sweet flag and sandalwood. Aliya and Lila, along with the fishermen, make the fire pans. Each bundle of herbs is wrapped with the wishes of the believers. Some write, "Please let my grandson drink clean water," and some draw a simple fish shape, representing the hope for a good harvest. Kamala ties the ancestral silver bells to the edge of the fire pan. It was passed down from her great-grandmother and is said to be able to hear the heartbeat of the river god. When the first star lights up the sky, Damodar rings the bronze bell. 108 fire pans rise simultaneously, making the river surface look like molten gold. The old priests start to spin, their dance steps exactly the same as those on the mural. First step with the left foot, symbolizing that the Ganges originates from Shiva's hair. Then turn 3 times, corresponding to the creation, protection, and destruction of the universe. Lila sees Kamala's shadow lengthen in the firelight, overlapping exactly with the priest on the mural. The calluses on her palm, illuminated by the fire, reveal tiny Ganges, like patterns. Om! The moment the fire pans sink into the water, the river surface suddenly boils. The pottery shard in Layla's hand resonates, and her father's memories come flooding back. During the severe drought in 1972, he spun the fire pans at the ghat for 7 consecutive nights. When the first drop of rain fell, the statue of the river god covered by silt was revealed at the bottom of the river. The scene at this moment is exactly the same. The colorful foam formed by the industrial wastewater dissipates as soon as it touches the red light of the fire pans, revealing the gray-white riverbed underneath. And in the center of the whirlpool, the statue of the 7-headed Naga slowly raises its head, and pure Ganges water flows between its forked tongue. Anil, the engineer who once advocated purifying the river with chemical agents, is now kneeling on the stone steps. The complex water quality test data in his notebook fades in the firelight, replaced by the Shiva Linga projected on the river surface by the trajectory of the fire pans, a natural energy field he had never seen in satellite images. I thought science could solve everything. He looks at the fish jumping out of the water again. But I forgot that the Ganges itself is the oldest wisdom. Kamala suddenly points at the river and exclaims, "In the center of the purified water area, the eyes of the river god statue open and thousands of light spots emerge in the golden light. These are the concrete manifestations of all the prayers to the Ganges in the past century. The requiem during the 1918 flu, the sobs of the refugees in 1947, the slogan of the Clean Ganges movement in 2016, all now turn into light debris and flow into the river along the snake-shaped braids of the statue." Look! Aliya points downstream. A natural purification zone is emerging in the most polluted section of the river. Aquatic plants take root again in the sediment, and even the sewage outlet of the chemical plant is blocked by a transparent light film. Lila suddenly understands what her father meant when he said before his death that the Ganges can breathe. When humans learn to talk to her with prayers instead of data, she will stretch out her chest that has been tightened by industry. At the end of the night Aarti, the Madar puts the last fire pan into the water. In the firelight, Lila sees her father in 1947 smiling at her from the opposite bank. The fire pan in his hand is exactly the same as the one now, with the Sanskrit word for forgiveness engraved on the edge of the pan, spreading to every corner with the ripples. Kamala kneels in front of the statue and washes the oil stains on her arm with Ganges water. The red spots that were once diagnosed as industrial allergies actually turn into lotus-shaped birthmarks when touched by the holy water. Next Diwali, we'll make bigger fire pans. Kumar looks at the river surface that has turned blue again, with thousands of daya floating on the waves reflected in his eyes. Let every flame remember that the Ganges is not a ditch to dump garbage, but a breathing mother. Anil suddenly takes out his phone not to record data, but to record the dance steps of the old priests. He says he will input the rhythm of the Tandava dance into the water quality monitoring system so that technology can understand the heartbeat of the Ganges. Lila smiles, remembering what her father once said, "When machines start to learn to pray, civilization truly progresses." When the hymn of the morning prayer comes from afar, the statue of the river god has sunk back into the water, leaving only 7 golden ripples. Kamala says that this is the river god thanking everyone who protects her. Lila touches the pottery shard in her pocket, and somehow the scriptures on it are now complete. Is the last sentence of the Ode to Mother Ganges. When you spin the fire pan with a heart of reverence, my breath will turn into the sound of the tide in your palm. In the distance, Elia is teaching the children to weave small fire pans with sweet flag leaves. In the firelight, the children in the fishing village see the starlight at the bottom of the river for the first time. It is the most authentic heartbeat of the Ganges that has been buried by industrial waste for many years. When the first ray of sunlight sweeps across the spire of the temple, the ashes of the 108 fire pans form a Dharma wheel pattern on the water surface, which is a symbol of Vishnu and also a new contract between humans and the river. Only by understanding her breath can we obtain eternal nourishment. On this night, the Ganges in Varanasi is no longer a polluted river, but a truly sacred river. With her unchanged rhythm for thousands of years, she tells the world that technology and faith are never opposed. When the light of the fire pans resonates with the curves of data, and when the rhythm of the dance steps is in sync with the fluctuations of water quality, it is the most touching breath of the ancient civilization in modern society. This episode ends, but the story continues. Subscribe now